Welcome to the best hour of their day podcast with your hosts, Jason Fernandez
and me, Jason Ackerman. With more than 20 years in the business,
as both coaches and affiliate owners,
our passion is to help create world-class affiliates
and coaches by building
better boxes. Welcome to
the best hour of your day.
When you do what you love, like CrossFit, coaching, or running a business, you want to do it for life. Inside Tracker can help. Inside Tracker was founded in 2009 by leading scientists in aging, genetics, and biometrics. Using their patented algorithm, Inside Tracker analyzes your body's data to provide you with a clear picture of what's going on inside you and to offer you science-backed recommendations for positive diet and lifestyle changes. Then Inside Tracker tracks your progress every day, every step of the way toward reaching your performance goals and living a longer, healthier life. If you're a coach, an affiliate owner, a trainer, a registered dietitian, or any other health and wellness practitioner, Inside Tracker has launched a new program for you to offer to your clients called Inside Tracker Pro. In addition to helping your clients optimize their health and perform better than ever, you'll also get discounts and earn revenue. Plus, you'll get free access to the Inside Tracker Pro Educational Resource Center and a free personal coach dashboard for secure access to your clients' Inside Tracker results and recommendations. Inside Tracker Pros receive a 50% discount to experience Inside Tracker themselves. Earn revenue, enjoy discounts, and help your clients perform better than ever with Inside Tracker Pro. Visit insidetracker.com/Coach Jason Ackerman to get started. Welcome back. Best hour of their day fans. You got the whole crew here. You got the Springstein. Did I say it right?
No.
Oh,
I
shit.
know.
I literally just thought I said your name right.
You didn't. I understand that, like, now when I have calls with people, they really do think my last name is Springsteen, and I have to correct them, but that's not my name.
Springberg. It's Springberg, everybody.
Nope.
We got the Fern man. We got me. We're going to do a little Q&A today. Katie's going to ask us some questions. I'm excited about that. We get some great questions from you guys. Slide into our DMs on Best Hour. And, of course, if you want to go deeper into some Q&A, we got a Patreon live once a month where we go harder in the paint on these Q&As. Fern, you worked a seminar this weekend?
I did. I was in Charlotte. I couldn't remember earlier when you asked me because all the days run together. I've been in Charlotte the past 2 weekends. I was in Durham for a level 2.
Who'd you work with?
Both. For the level 2, I worked with Kristen and I feel like my memory's going away.
I was just gonna say, this is.
Yeah.
Are you taking the alpha brain? Are you getting the alpha brain going on? What's going on?
Not the black label. I need to hit up John and ask him for that black label stuff. But who was the other person? Oh, Lindsay.
Lindsay?
Shit. Yeah, Lindsay. Yeah. We drove home together. Yeah. And then this past weekend I did level 1 with Kristen, Luke, and John Mears.
What do you like better these days working, the level 1 or level 2s?
I really enjoy both for different reasons. I feel, I don't know. I like them equally. Like I absolutely love giving the theory lectures in level 1. Like I love it. I could do that all day long.
What's your favorite? If you had one lecture from the level 1, level 2, you can only give one lecture for the rest of your life. I know which one I'm going fitness. With. You going fitness?
Yeah, I think so.
I think I would go CrossFit. What is CrossFit? The first lecture of the weekend
what is CrossFit?
Sets the tone. A lot of opportunities for some fun tidbits and stories in there. You know, there's a lot you have to, for the listeners, there's things we have to make sure we cover, right? There's a test and we want to make sure everybody gets all the same knowledge every weekend. But the What is CrossFit has a lot of, leeway for your own stories and experience in the CrossFit world.
Yeah, I love both. That's why I love the theory lectures. They're just so. I just think the content in there is so deep and so rich, and so impactful. But on the flip side, I really love helping people sort out their coaching in the level 2. Like I thoroughly enjoy that. Kind of getting people to have the light bulbs go on and think about things a little bit differently. So I think they have significantly different feelings for me. But yeah, they were both really great. But cool story. So this is for everybody. This has nothing to do with level 1, level 2. This has to do with just being.
So if you're listening, this is for you, is what you're saying.
Being
like
a
if you're
human,
currently
right?
listening,
If
you've come to the
you're
right
a
spot.
modern human, shout out Christian. If you're a modern human,
And Kayla.
yeah, and Kayla, this is for you. So for those of you who don't know, we typically fly in Friday for a seminar.
Do you fly when you go to Charlotte?
Yeah, it's like a 6-hour drive. I'm not driving that. And then it's like an hour flight. And then we will fly out Sunday night, typically. There's a handful of occasions where that won't be the case, but that's pretty standard. So we fly in Friday night. It's typically go get some food, go to the hotel, get yourself organized, and then Saturday seminar, dinner, and then repeat Sunday, get out of there. But Friday, we get to the hotel, and there's it's pretty conveniently located next to like grocery store, like a pretty big shopping center. There's a lot of options. You can literally just walk across the street.
So nice when you get that.
Nice.
That's great.
So we drive in, and there's this little, I honestly don't remember the name of the place, but it's a poke bowl place. So
I love a good poke shop. Easy, healthy, good, easy to get protein.
Yeah. So I I'm in there, reviewing some lectures, doing some notes and stuff, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go eat. So I walk over there, walk up the stairs, look in there. I'm like, man, I feel like this place is closed. There's nobody in here. And then so open the door. Nope, it's open. And then there's a kid who's like sitting like kind of behind the counter. He's just like jamming on his phone, doing something, whatever. Sees me, pops up real quick. And
so, but this is like a Chipotle style. Like you walk up and they have
So it's like, it's very much like that, right? So it's like you walk in there, and then they kind of ask you what you want. So this kid
white
pops
rice,
up,
brown rice, quinoa.
Yeah,
Who gets quinoa, by the way?
Yeah.
In a poke
Couscous.
Stupid.
Yeah, food so nice they named it twice. So the kid pops up. I mean, just super energetic. And he's like, "Hey, how are you? Anywhere I can help you?" He's like, "I'll be able to walk you through all of this." And he starts walking me through everything on the poke menu. And he was like, "What would you like?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "Would you like me to walk you through it?" And I'm like, "I would like you to walk me through this."
Was he this excited?
Dude, it was off the charts. So
do you think this is innate? Like he's genuinely excited about
I've been
poke?
around enough people to know that this was 1000% genuine. This was not a dude trying to sell me some stuff. Like he was just giving good service, right? Like he was.
Can I ask an offensive question? I don't mean for this to be offensive. Did he have special needs? Was he a special needs person?
No. This kid was sharp. Like this kid immediately. So you and I
can have special needs to be sharp, for the record, lest the haters start canceling us. But
no. Listen to what I'm about to say. Let me finish the story. I'm going to answer your questions. So I've been around enough people.
I've heard this story before, by the way. So
yeah. So I don't know why you're asking these questions. So
dig deeper into it.
I've been around enough people to know when somebody has incredibly high EQ. And this kid has off the charts EQ. And when I say kid, he is not 18 years old. For sure.
He's younger.
He's for sure younger than 18 years old. If he's older than that, he just looks like he's 14.
Well, there's got to be a law.
He's probably like 16 or 17 years old. Okay.
Wow. Katie? How old you got to be to work in North Carolina?
Yeah. What's the age for working in North Carolina? But super young. I mean, he's like, kind of like a scrawny kid, but super nice, man. And he's he's recommending things. At which point, everything he recommended, I took it just because I was totally.
What is something he recommended that you never would have chosen on your own?
Here's funny. I don't typically like white sauces of any type.
Like you won't go with like a clam chowder, like a New England.
That's not a soft. That's a sauce.
Alfredo sauce, fettuccine Alfredo.
No.
Really? That's my goal.
So anyway, we get to that point. He was just like, "Well," I'm like, "Fuck it, put it on there." I was like, "Yeah, I'm in for whatever you're in for."
You're literally changing my life right now.
Right. So, but here's the point of the story, right? So, number one, he was incredibly engaging. He was polite. He was nice. Oddly, he was really educated on all the stuff on the menu, and there was a lot of things in there. Okay, and so, and the point I'm bringing up here is, while he was doing it, number one, I will give you an idea of like how good the customer service and the interaction here was. That like I felt inadequate as a salesperson and as a customer service person in the face of this like kid. Like that's how good it was. And I was kind of telling the group earlier, what was interesting for me is I had the wherewithal to notice it at the time. And I was like, God damn, this is good. This is genuine. This is not like watching somebody who is like, skilled at their craft and they're like watching them do something.
Like, it's not the fact that it's a pretty poke bowl.
Right. No, he's not like an artisan poke bowl maker, right? Like just his interaction in the experience of just me walking in and getting a pile of rice with fish on top of it was pleasant. Right. It was so pleasant and this is, I have to throw context on here. All three of us, so myself, Kristen, and John, who stayed at the hotel, all three of us went to the same place separately. We did not go there together. The following morning, Kristen says, "You guys go eat?" And I said, "I did. I went to the pokey place." And she's like, "Me too." And I was like, "Can we talk about the pokey kid?" At which point she was like, "Can we talk about the pokey kid?" And I was like, "Customer service off the charts." If he'd have been like, "I'll sell you that stolen car out there," I'd be like, "I'm buying, dude. I trust you. You're a trustworthy person. I believe this is a good deal."
Did he sell you some Bitcoin?
No, I don't. He was probably saving that. He's probably like, "I'm going to wait until it goes down a little bit, and then I'll pitch you on it." But the point was this. This is for CrossFit coaches / box owners, and here's the overall point of this. There's some comedy to this story, but the point should be taken, which is you can never underestimate the impact of an interaction between you and another human being, right? Like this kid who makes poke bowls gave such a pleasant interaction that the three of us were talking about it the next morning. And there's no reason for us to be talking about it. Like we went there, we got food. We didn't even sit there. Like we went there, we got it.
Did you join him for dinner? Did you stay and like just hang out with him for?
I absolutely would have stayed and hung out with that kid for dinner. Be like, teach me something, And that's the point is, we should look at everybody that walks into the gym and we should treat them like that because we have no idea and you have to think about because what you do is far more impactful than selling Pokeballs.
I don't know. That sounds like a delicious dinner. That might be better than fixing someone's squat.
But if a young kid who's selling Pokeballs can have that kind of interaction where it leaves a positive imprint on me, I want you to think about what you could have with somebody who comes into a CrossFit who's nervous, might be self-conscious, is looking for some accountability or some guidance on things that they're struggling with. And you have the answer. If you're in a CrossFit affiliate, you have the answer to all of those things.
He had the answer you wanted. You wanted fish, rice, ideally no white sauce, but he convinced you that you do like white sauce. But right. I mean, he did have the answer for you in that moment, but it's a lot different than the answer of health. Yes.
Right. So, and that's where it just simple things like that. And I just be nice. Be nice to people and and I also bring this up because in today's world of masks and everybody decides to be shitty to everybody else.
Here we go.
It's true. I listen, I'm not gonna apologize for it. Like it's true. Like and over the past 2 years, there has been a thing where it's just okay to be shitty to other people in public.
Oh, right? Did we ever talk about the fight Fern got into in Colorado?
That's precisely my point. Where like the idea of being just nice to somebody and smiling and interacting, like you now become a unicorn. So just take that into account. When somebody comes in your gym, be the pokey kid. Just be the pokey kid, right? Like treat them nicely, be pleasant, ask them questions, all of that stuff. And I think you'll be shocked on the impact that will have. So we were on a call earlier when somebody said, they're like, yeah, the guy joined my gym. He went to another gym or lady, I think it might've been. I said, yeah, she was just like, this was just a much more pleasant experience. I'm like, that's my point. That is my point. It's got jack shit to do with thrusters and pull-ups or back squat or any of that other stuff. If they don't find it to be a pleasant experience and they don't feel comfortable in your presence, it doesn't matter. Well, I don't care what you know.
This goes back to something Coach Glassman said over and over again. If people are leaving your gym to go to the box down the road, it's because they're simply having more fun.
Right.
Right. And that's what you're suggesting. It's whether it's fun or, just making them feel comfortable, welcoming. All of those things are the same thing. You used that term EQ earlier. That's what it is. Can I ask you a couple follow-up questions?
Please.
I do want to get to the root of this white sauce thing. Did you have an issue when you were a kid? Like,
And not
did
that
you
I'm
get
aware
picked
of.
on or something?
I am completely grossed out by mayonnaise.
Where's that from?
I have no idea. I just think it's disgusting.
It's because you grew up in Louisiana and you probably got a mayo on your sandwich one day that was spoiled.
Mayo,
heat.
like there was like a pickle.
A singular
Right. Just like
packet.
okay, got it.
Do you like the
you-
yum yum sauce at Hibachi?
No.
That pink sauce? Yeah, I always get double ginger. I like ginger sauce.
Well, ginger's different. Ginger.
Right, but I'm saying instead of the yum yum sauce is the mayo based one.
I don't even know.
No, if I'm doing anything that looks like
you
sushi
eat spicy
or
tuna rolls. You do spicy tuna.
spicy tuna, but
That's got
wasabi.
mayo in
I'll
it.
do yeah, sometimes, but like it's a little bit different. Like it's not like a mayo. Like it's got like very wasabi-ish, if you will.
So okay, one of Fern's many issues.
Anyway.
Let me ask you a follow up. Did you tell him this? Did you what do you remember the kid's name?
I don't, and I felt like a real turd afterwards because I didn't ask him his name. But I was like, I told him when I left, I said, hey, that was fantastic. Like, keep doing what you're doing.
You give him
Right,
this
like,
life advice.
Yeah, I was like,
Set
listen,
him-
I don't know what you're going to do with
Yeah.
yourself in life, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be successful.
Did you find his Ford? Did you ask him about his recreation, his dreams?
No, I didn't. I was like, I'm assuming you don't want to be a poke bowl maker for the rest of your life, but
Hey.
if you are, I support you, and I will be the first person to invest in your poke bowl.
I feel like we're gonna get a lot of hate from Poke Bowl customer service people because you're making it sound like it's not a great career path.
I don't know that it is or that it
Free
isn't. I'm
tuna?
just saying.
I'll work for free salmon. So you tell him this. You said did he seem appreciative or was he like because you're basically an old man to this kid? Like I know we feel young, but
That's not
you're
true.
41.
Yeah,
It's
but
very true. You're an old man.
I get told all the
Dude.
time that I don't look 41. So
It doesn't matter. You don't.
the bag under your eyes, the wrinkles, everything. Everybody like you're
Madison
super old.
didn't think last night. Look, it doesn't matter if you're 41 or 31. When we were 15, did you find out that age, Katie? How old is
You
it?
can be 14.
So, assuming this kid is 14,
Yeah.
I mean, you are ancient. Man, when you are 14, if someone was in their 20s, you were like, who the fuck is this old dude giving me advice
I'm
right now?
almost 3 times older than this kid.
Yeah,
Basically.
I'm old enough to be your grandfather, kid.
Yeah.
So back up. But, I think we've talked about it earlier. We are going to start Best Hour Pokey. And it's going to be a chain of poke spots. No white sauce. That's what we do here.
Sure.
I do think we have our "Don't Be a Turd" shirt. We should have "Don't be a turd, be a pokey kid."
Be the pokey kid.
Be the pokey kid.
I have a question. Do you remember the name of the hotel you stayed at?
Is the Hilton? I could pull it up right
Because
now.
we could
Katie's
Google
going
it
deep.
and then find the
give
poke
this-
places
yeah, we could-
near
yeah,
it,
we could
and then
give
we
this
could
person
send the
a
kid
shout.
this
Let's blow this
episode.
kid up. Let's
Yeah.
find out his Instagram handle, and
Well, I'll
everybody that listens to this show, shoot him a nice message. Katie,
I'll
we're
find
gonna
it.
find this kid.
We'll find
Previous-
it.
I hope we set the private. By the way, 14-year-old kid.
So it was a Hilton.
It is amazing. While Fern's Googling, I will filibuster. And it's amazing that, like, when you get a positive interaction, you like that word, Fern? You want me to?
That's not what filibuster means, but anyway.
Yeah, I thought filibuster is just when you, like, talk because you're trying to, like,
No.
extend a Congress hearing or something.
It's kind of like an overrule, if you will.
Well, anyway, I'm filibustering
Yeah.
while you're doing this because you're not paying attention. So, but it is important that you have an interaction like this and you remember, like,
Here's
this is
the
Friday.
address, Katie, is, and I hope this is the address. It might be somebody's actual home address. 622 Caden Road in Charlotte, North Carolina.
So anyway, but like Fern said,
It's a Hilton.
do this when you coach. Do this when people walk in. While Katie's finding this kid's name and address and social security.
It's like something pokey. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, typically
if you-
pokey places have the name
I
pokey.
pull up
in it.
Google, like the Google Maps. It's literally across the street. It's like right
You don't
there.
gotta tell young Katie how to do her job. She knows. Look at her. She's full deep search. You find it? What are you drinking, Fern? You always got that black bottle these days.
Wine.
Red or white?
It's mead. It's mead. It's the only way I can tolerate. It's the only way I can tolerate you.
I'm drinking too. So while Katie's doing that, you did make me think of something. We say it's not this, it's not that. I put up a post the other day about programming. Dear members, if you don't like our programming, don't come here. And there are members out there, Fern, that think they have a say. I got many responses, but we're paying members. Can you speak on this, because I'm
Yes.
tired of it? Yes, and you
Well,
do a better job getting directly to the point.
you're right. I do absolutely do a gooder job.
Better job
The
for sure.
so this is a conversation that Cassie and I are currently in the midst of having. So, this is the as we would describe in the technique versus intensity lecture, or the technique lecture, that this is the natural tension that exists in the programming versus what people want in the affiliate, right? So there is a natural tension that exists. This is the program that I want to write, and here's what people want, and then there's a natural like tussle there. So I maybe a month or two ago, I was like, hey, I want to start dabbling, and hear me out here, with a very light amount of a combo Metcon and strength, right? And
Like, giving us
Cassidy and
an
Lindsay,
example. You mean like
meaning like
separate though,
meaning like
separate workouts?
I would like I would like to loop it into the programming, because I do recognize that people like it. Okay,
To have
so
a Metcon and a strength in the same day,
in the same
same
class,
hour.
right?
Right.
So Lindsay and Cassidy, as they should, come to the table. No, this is ridiculous. This
I don't
is
think they
not.
should, to be fair.
I'm giving them a hard time. But they're doing their due diligence, because they're coming from the angle of like, hey, we're going to sacrifice coaching in order to do this. So, and I'm like, listen,
Potentially.
I hear what you're saying, right? I'm also, to some degree, disagreeing it, and I don't, and I it's we can create a compromise in which we don't have to do either. We can do both, and we don't have to do both all the time. So if we're talking about from a very objective standpoint, if, just like you said, if you do strength plus Metcon every single day, that's not variance. Well, if you never do strength plus Metcon or Metcon strength, they're the same thing, then that is also not variance. Now, we also would acknowledge that if you are doing more in the hour, the thing that would suffer most would be the coaching aspect of it, because it's just more stuff. It turns into herding cats. But if you are in control of that and you write the programming, well, then you can write it such that you don't have to do that. So an example would be heavy front squat. We had a heavy front squat last Friday, maybe Thursday or Friday, I don't remember. And then afterwards, we did a dumbbell snatch lunge. I don't remember, but it was a triplet. And they were both, talking to me. They're like, man, this is really hard to get through. Like, this is kind of stressful from a coaching standpoint. I'm not covering what I want to cover. So what I brought up was like, well, then don't write that workout. Like, write something else. Like, have control over it. So, and then Cassidy, we were bouncing around some ideas, and this is the kind of conversations that I think are healthy and should be happening around this topic. It shouldn't be, authoritarian, and this is dumb, and this is right, and this is wrong. It's just like, what can we do effectively that would simultaneously scratch the itch that the customer wants, right? So if they want it, there's nothing you could do about that, right? They want it. And if you're just like, no, well, then you can choose down that sword or not. And it doesn't mean you have to do it all the time. It just means that you need to take it into account and say, well, let's just try it and see if we can do it while not sacrificing what it is that we know to be valuable, which is the coaching. So I said, well, let's make some rules around the Strength plus Metcon format, which is A, it's not all the time. What's the most we want to do it? And then what would it look like in order for us to not sacrifice the coaching aspect of it? And it would look like, take the movement that you just did in the heavy portion and then pair it with a very simple other movement that
So you're
would
not
require
coaching multiple movements.
Right. That would require little to no teaching or coaching, right? Everything can be taught, everything can be broken down in progression, but stick with me here. Burpee, box jump, air squat, lunge, push up, sit up. That list is fairly slam ball. That list is fairly
Lunges.
long. Lunges, right? Like that list is pretty long, and you can do that in a variety of combinations. At which point, you could still throw something short on the back end of that, 5 to 8 minutes, that would be really effective, but not necessarily eat up your timeline, and still get the appropriate amount of time on the front end with regard to the strength. And the strength can still be the priority. Remember, keep the main thing the main thing. If you're lifting heavy, the priority should be the strength portion. The back end is just to kind of get people to breathe heavy and feel like they did something extra.
Well,
So I'm like, well, let's create those rules so that we don't have to do it, but we can do both.
you said it there. Like, I think a lot of times people want Strength and Metcon. They just want to breathe heavy at the end.
Right.
I used to do heavy days and do like a 1K time trial at the end, which couldn't be any easier. And it's 4 minutes or less, ideally, right? And people leave gassed. Or another great one, partner or even group 2Ks, like 3-person 2Ks. They will destroy themselves on a rower, and you can do that on an assault bike, a rower, a skier. You can go outdoors and run.
I mean, you wouldn't even have to go. You wouldn't have to go 1,000. You could just do a 500-meter time trial, just like full send on the rower.
But throw partners in there because then they get even more excited.
So, but so that's where I was kind of leaning towards is like you can do both, and I feel like a lot of people have programming, and it's this very odd scenario in which they don't think to themselves, "Oh, I can just change it to make it better."
Yeah.
And like just because somebody gave you that workout doesn't mean then you have to do it. I hear what they're saying, and I agree what they're saying. It's just like I don't enjoy putting, from a coaching standpoint, I think it's a nightmare putting more stuff in the hour. However, we'd have to temper that with what do the clients want, and then what would that be beneficial to them in some way, shape, or form. I do think there is argument for that, right? Do I want to do it all the time? No.
But think about the Open. Every year we can. Who knows what's going to happen this year? But I think there's precedent at this point that every year there's at least one workout that has both, right? A two-parter. Right. We interviewed Justin Berg, and while he didn't say it, I think the kind of wink is like, hey, there's 3 events or whatever the word they use, right? There's 3 workouts, but not how many pieces
scores.
Scores,
so there's
right?
Gonna be 4 or 5 scores, maybe.
Yeah, they won't say scores. They'll never say how many scored events there are. Just that there's 3 weeks to the Open.
3 weeks, right?
Right.
So that's kind of the. And again, I'm not looking to do it every week, right? But my contention is that it's not something we should never do. It should just be something that we do rare. Like, and if you were to like add on to the very elegant statement that I believe Pat Sherwood said, which is like live your life in couplets and triplets, go heavy once a week, go long occasionally. Like you would add in there, be like double them up occasionally, like throw that in there too.
What's the quote from the programming lecture where it's like within every program lies I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. Do you know it, Fern? Do you know it? Do you know it?
I love watching people like screw that up.
It's a tough one. It
is tough. It's so like all of the Glassmanisms are because he's who he is and the way he says things are very hard to say. Like if you particularly if you're going to say them conversationally, it's really difficult.
So what it usually looks like is we hit the quote and then we kind of break it down. So this is where I give the Death Star analogy, where like if you're a Star Wars fan, if you remember A New Hope, they build this incredible flying planet, if you will. But there's one small point in there where if you shoot a bullet, that thing's going to explode. And it's the same with programming. Basically, his point was you could have the most elegant and best thought out programming, but I will find that sniper shot that shows you where you're weak.
I might butcher this a little bit, but I believe the statement, it might not be exactly verbatim, but I believe the statement, because I haven't given that lecture in a long time, is within every routine lies the blueprint for which there will be no adaptation.
I think you're very close. I don't think that's exactly right.
That's not it. That's definitely not exactly it. But actually,
I'm gonna look it up.
I'm going to pull it up.
But while Fern's looking up something else, the point I was making is, I put that post up the other day. Here's what it said. And Katie, maybe you can throw it up as well. Dear CrossFit members, if you complain about the programming at our box, we are not the right fit for you. We will gladly help you find an affiliate that suits your needs. And I had mostly 90%, clapping hands and fires and hearts and whatnot. And, we had a few people. I'll give this person, this person comments on a lot, and I don't mean it in a negative way. Vogue poet, like I love your commenting, and I think for a lot of this, they just don't know any better, right? They're just hearing this and they don't know. So let me educate you. Their response, I get that, but what if the programming does not offer constantly varied movements? And it's like that's a no-brainer. You don't go to that affiliate. Like if you take the pokey story that Fern told, and Fern walks in and the pokey kid's got this great attitude, and Fern's like, "Hey, I'll take a double cheeseburger with fries," and he's gonna be like, "Well, we don't serve that here," and Fern's not gonna be like, "What the fuck? You don't serve cheeseburger and fries? It's classic American food." He's gonna be like, "Okay, well, I gotta find a burger shop, right?" But then at the same time, if you're like, "Hey, okay, then I'll take a gefilte fish poke bowl," and he's like, "Dude, what the hell is gefilte fish?" And you're like, "It's a fucking fish. The name is in it. You should serve it." You still have the option to be like, "Well, we don't serve it. Do you want tuna, salmon, or whatever the other options are? Or would you like to find a different place that serves gefilte fish?" So my
as
point
soon
is,
as I read it, I remembered it.
what is it?
The statement. It's like any routine, no matter how complete, contains within its omissions the parameters for which there will be no adaptation.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough. So anyway,
No,
my
that's
point
exactly
is, like,
what
when
it
I
was.
said,
Not close enough. That's literally verbatim.
no, yours was close enough. I was suggesting.
Yeah.
You were wrong, but yeah.
I know.
Let me go
I'm
back to what
annoyed that I didn't know it, but that is the whole thing, right? Which is like we get so caught into the, hey, this is how you do it. I'm like, right, but therein lies the trap. Is
But-
that now that is
yeah.
the routine?
And I think we're talking about two things, right? We're talking about box owners, be smart. It might not be the best thing, like it might not be the thing you want to do, but understand, secondly, you are running a business. You have to keep your members happy. Katie, will you scroll down on this post, please?
And then did we have a question? I know we were gonna.
Yeah, we could do, but I want to finish my thought. Keep going, Katie. To the comments. I want you to go to where that comment started.
Listen, we're going into the comments, which you should never do ever for
I
any
know, but
reason.
I just want to
social
make
platform.
a point. Keep going. One more, I think. Hit that plus button. Hit that plus button, Katie. Here we go. Keep going. There we go. Kehoe shout out. Right there. Now hit the view replies. No. Go back up. Go other way. Keep going up. Right. Keep coming. Nope. Other direction, Katie. Other direction, Katie. That's the same direction. There we go. Keep going. Right there. Now hit the view replies 7. All right. Keep now scroll up. So that's where they say, I get it, but what if they don't offer constantly varied functional movements? Then go elsewhere, right? You go to, and I even said, don't try to change the food at a restaurant. Find one you like. Keep scrolling. The next comment is the one that gets me. Keep going. Here, agree to disagree. The box is a second home, not a restaurant that you may visit once. It doesn't matter. It's still not your business. Like, people are misunderstanding the point. It's like, cool. If you go to a restaurant all the time and they only serve white sauce and you have this aversion to white sauce, you're probably not going to go there very often, or at a minimum, you'll get the white sauce on the side. And these are people that, again, I just think it's not understanding. Like, your input is valuable. I get it. Like, you are part of our community. I want to hear your input, but don't misconstrue that for you're an owner and your opinion matters. Like,
or
it's
that
valuable.
or that it's a complete thought and effective.
Yeah. Scroll a little more, Katie.
Like,
one more.
I like things. It's just like, well, but that doesn't mean it's good. It also doesn't take into account that, like, not everybody else likes that or is prepared for that, or that we could do it well. So it's a larger discussion to be had, and that's why I think if you're going to do that, I think it should be a little bit more fleshed out. Which is why when Cassidy and I were going back and forth over text this weekend, I was thinking about it, I was like, we could do both, and we don't have to do both all the time. So then I have again, ask better questions. In what scenario would you be comfortable doing this? And never is not the answer, because you're a really high level coach, and there does exist a scenario in here which you'll be totally fine doing. You could do this, right? So tell me what that scenario is, and then that's just what we create. Like, we are the masters of our own fate here. Like, we write the programming, we do everything. So let's do that, and then we can be happy about it, and they will be happy. And we like to call that in the biz a win-win. Why would we not try to dial that up?
Yeah, I agree with that. And then the last comment here was, but what do you think about this, Fern? But we pay into the business. We help to keep the doors open.
That's a ridiculous statement, and I appreciate your input there, Vogue Poet. But
and we like Vogue Poet. This is a nice person.
Yeah. It's not a shot at him, but that's a voluntary transaction. It's not like you're paying taxes.
Or her. I don't know Vogue's poet.
But this is not like you're paying taxes, where I'm like, where do my tax dollars go? Right? This is like, I choose to give this business money, and if I don't like it, I can choose not to give this business money.
Do you think somewhere along the line, that's where it went wrong? You can stop sharing that, Katie. Do you think somewhere along the line with CrossFit, that got kind of bastardized because this idea of community took over when it's like, yeah, it is a community, but don't forget it's a business. Like your local coffee shop is probably a community as well, right? But you don't necessarily have an influence on what they make. You might be like, hey, if you guys ever you make cookies every so often, throw in a red velvet cookie, and they might be like, hey, that's a great idea. They
Right.
might be like, we are never doing that.
Well, this is one of the many unintended consequences of running a bad business.
People feel like they can say this versus, and that's the thing, like it's like having a yearly or annual annual, what's the term where you have like a round table, State of the Union. I don't think it's a bad idea, but good businesses don't necessarily have to do it because things are just running smooth all year round. I don't need your input. A lot of those times it becomes, what do you guys want? And it's like, or just give them what they want because you're running a really great business.
Right. And so that should be the goal and that is the whole purpose of the whole thing. And you could do both. And I just think it goes back to the point I made earlier, which is it's just an unintended consequence of running a poor business. And to some degree, if you were to really dig deep in this and you were trying to unpack this, they're probably doing it because to some degree, they think that you don't care. Right? Like that honestly, that's probably why. Like, think about the number of people that you interact with. You're like, that person cares more than any person in the world, and they're like totally on top of it all the time. I'm not giving that person any guidance or fucking good ideas. I'm like,
yeah, right?
that person has spent an unreasonable amount of time thinking about this.
And they know way more than I do about the subject.
So I'm just like, man, this is probably great. He's probably thought of all of that. It's not to say that you shouldn't give inputs if you see something that's broken, but that's a little bit different. But I wouldn't be shocked if you were really thinking about it, like that they're giving that because the perception at the very least is that the business owner doesn't care. So they're like, well, I'm going to give my 2 cents in order to try to improve this, right? So you could see how this starts to unravel where you're just like, oh, well, if you would only give suggestions for improvement if you think that it really needs to be improved because I don't think this person gives a crap about what's going on. Now, that's not an absolute statement, but in more chances than not, that's probably the case. But if they see that you are constantly, I had another guy that was here recently. He was like, I always love coming back to the gym after like a long vacation or a work trip. I'm like, why? He's like, because there's always something new here. And I'm like, perfect. That's the goal. Right. That's the goal all the time.
I think there's just a general disconnect though in the affiliate world where it's like, rather than accepting what's there at the affiliate and respecting the fact that the owner and your coaches probably know what's best for you. And if that's not what you're looking for, I don't understand to this day why people are unwilling to be like, cool, this, like, rather than saying, hey, this poke spot doesn't have gefilte fish. They have great poke, not my type, right? I want the Jewish stuff. I'm going to go find a place that does it or make my own, which is, I would say, synonymous with doing your own workout in your garage. I don't understand why more people aren't just deciding, hey, this is not the spot for me. I'm going to find a better alternative for me.
Right.
Not necessarily a better CrossFit or a better poke spot, a better spot that suits my needs.
Yeah. And I just don't want people to there's a place to hold the line, and the standard is the standard. And then I think there's a place for conversation and consideration. And I just don't, I think affiliate owners can be way too rigid in that because they take it personally. They're like, they don't like the programming. They don't know what they're talking about. And to some degree, that is accurate. However, you should still take into consideration, because I think Cassidy's statement was, he was like, I'm thinking about doing this because people like it way more than I wanted them to. And I was like, well, we knew that, right? And that's fine. And because of that doesn't mean I'm going to shift all the way over and you're going to see CrossFit Life doing Strength plus Metcon all the time. Like, that's not happening, because what we do is coach the crap out of people. But if I was really going to stretch the team and be like, hey, let's try to be the best, well, then my contention is we should be able to do both in certain instances. that we have full control over, right? And I don't think that's unreasonable. So that's the whole thing, right? And again, it's because going back to be the pokey kid, we do have control over that. We can give a good service and a good product and have both parties be happy about it at the end of it. And we don't have to be super rigid about it and say, no, we're never doing that just because fundamentally we disagree with it. And we disagree with it. The real crux of the disagreement is because it's hard, right? So, if we were going to have a philosophical discussion about it, is like, we shouldn't avoid it because it's hard. I mean, that violates everything that we know about CrossFit. That is quite literally the Hopper model.
But in fairness, if I was programming Fran today and someone came in, they're like, man, I really just don't want to do thrusters. I want to do deadlifts. I'd be like, cool, do deadlifts and pull-ups. Like, we might be deadlifting. What's that?
Somebody asked me that was a question about I think it was a question that came up in maybe one of the breakouts, and they're like, just somebody doesn't want to do that. And I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, I'm like,
I might why then is it so important that they do that?
Right. Hey, just so you know, we have deadlifting on the calendar for tomorrow. Yeah. I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Cool. Or I am going to be here tomorrow. Cool. Like, at the end of the day, you're right. But if somebody were doing that every single class they attended,
that's different.
Yeah. But if once in a while they're like, yeah, go for it. Okay. Do we still have time for some questions, Katie? Do you got to run? Is this a spot, Katie? Is this a spot, Fern?
I don't know. Maybe
Island Fin Pokey.
I remember that little scooper. I think this is it. Yeah.
Oh, go.
It's across the street from the hotel you stayed at.
Yeah, there's franchise opportunities. I'm telling you, best hour pokey.
Done.
This looks really good.
If you guys are in the Charlotte area, go there. It's amazing. Be the.
I wish you knew the kid's name.
So
go to contact.
Staff.
Maybe
no,
he's
it's
gonna be like coaches. I'm used to going to like CrossFit websites where it's like all the coaches.
Here are your pokey artists. No,
I have been. So while you guys have been talking, I have been searching, but we're not going to share because we don't know how old he is. So we're not going to share his.
Please don't do that. No. I do not want to have like the FBI coming up here citing a secret.
I think Fern should at least send him a nice note. I think you should.
You can contact them on the website. We can let them know.
You should. Fern, you should reach out and let them know he did a good job.
I'm being share this serious. Episode with him.
Yeah, and share this episode. This kid, this 14-year-old, prompted a whole conversation.
What if he turns out to be like 23? And I was like, wow, really missed.
Hey, you know what? Still impressive. It's not impressive nonetheless. If I did that at 43, I would be impressed. Yeah. So let alone 23. So shoot us some questions, Katie.
Okay. You guys did.
By the way, this coin is dope, right? This best hour coin.
I saw you itch your face with it. That was weird.
It's a beard scratcher. Scratch all the beard right there.
That was.
I mean, never to touch anything in your office next time I go.
Oh yeah, everything you guys touched when you were in my house, I licked.
Okay.
I actually believe that.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to still go into questions now?
Yeah. Let's do
two. Let's do two questions.
Two questions.
Right. Question 1. Is it ever okay for a coach to work out in the class that he or she coaches?
No. Next.
No elaboration?
I will give one scenario in which I think it is potentially appropriate, and even that would be arguable.
Let's see. What is it?
So
team workout?
No. It would be a scenario in which there's one person that shows up to the class. This person has been there for a hot minute, and you are supremely confident in their ability to train without you putting their eyes on them, and that you know for a fact that their absolute preference would be to not do this workout by themselves. At which point, there would be a large argument for that you should bite the bullet and train with that person. But that should be very rare. Very, very, very rare. I've probably done it less than a half dozen times in my entire life.
Yeah, I think what you're basically saying is in a scenario where it helps provide a better hour for that member, and you got to be careful. It's a slippery slope. If you have a packed class of 20 and you're like, who wants Coach Fern to work out with you? They're all going to say yes, right? So you have to be careful. It's like, it's not just a matter of,
be like, who cares?
It's not just a matter of making it more fun, but it's actually, when it's one person, it could actually provide a better value for that hour, maybe 2 at the most, or a team workout where
I wouldn't even go to 2. It would be like 1.
That would be like, so if you were to set a rule, sure. What about does that change if it's Metcon versus heavy day versus some sort of bodybuilding going on at the gym?
No.
Coaching is coaching.
Coaching is coaching.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Next one is, do you...
You have a weird
here
echo
we go.
going on there too, Katie.
What'd you say?
Do you have like a weird echo going on?
So do you on my end.
I don't hear either of your echoes.
It went away. You're good.
Okay, that's good. The benefits of programming the LSIT and why we should be doing it or not be doing it.
That's a good one. The reason people don't do it is because it's really freaking hard, and it'll like if you can hold a really really good LSIT, like I'm talking legs extended, toes pointed, slightly hitched back. I'm throwing out there most 15 to 20 seconds. That would be like, nice job. Like you did well. Coach Glassman used to say, when you can hold an LSIT for 3 minutes, like ab work will never be a problem for you again.
Ever. That is so long, by the way. So the benefit of is that isometric hold, which is our contention, are kind of like the strongest contractions and the most beneficial, not concentric or eccentric. When I say we, I'm referring to CrossFit. Has tremendous benefit, and if, like Jay was referring to, like if you can create the midline stabilization required to do that, I can tell you many things about what you're able to pick up off of the floor with regard to deadlifting and some of these other things. Your midline is incredibly strong at that point, and that lends itself to the ability to do a lot of other things. Now, the downside of it is it is not cool, sexy, or fun. So
he'll light your triceps up too.
Right. Yeah. You could put it in the programming. However, I'm going to be, this is where I'm going to be, super candid with people. Don't be shocked when people don't show up for that. So I think it is beneficial, I think this is where you have to really understand what people want, what they will show up for, because if you want a business, they got to show up and train. That is in most instances better off placed than something like accessory programming or a cash out at the end.
That's what I was going to say. I think,
people don't want to do that crap for a workout.
It's another one though. Probably not every affiliate has enough. First of all, you don't need parallettes to do it. You can use bumper plates. You can use boxes.
2 boxes. Yeah.
You can use rings and just lift your legs up in a ring.
I wouldn't start there.
Don't start there. Yeah, obviously. But like Fern said, I think that's a great after party. Hey, partner up. You're each going to accumulate, or 20 on, 20 off. I mean, a great way to try it on your own if you're listening is do a Tabata. Try to go 20. I would do a reverse Tabata, to be honest. I would go 10 seconds of work.
20 seconds. Or sorry, 10 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Yep.
The other place you can kind of sprinkle it in if you're doing your own programming, or maybe it pops up once in a while, is like kind of like a hiding the vegetables in the meatloaf scenario, where it's like just a random example. 21 thrusters, 21 calorie row, 18, 15, 12, whatever. After every round, 15-second LSIT hold. Right? So you're kind of sprinkling it in, but not making it the bulk of it. So when they look at the programming, they're not like, oh, screw it, I'm not going to go in today. But fantastic movement that I think,
absolutely,
to be quite honest, doesn't get used enough in the CrossFit world.
No, it doesn't get used enough, but I think it's because this is where it requires a specific level of creativity or understanding around programming in order to put that in where it makes sense, where it doesn't become the focal point of the workout and becomes a deterrent for people walking in the door.
Hey, let's do this.
You have to take that into account. Like, that is a real thing. People look at that and they're like, that's dumb, I'm not going.
Anyone listening, they coach a class, they post a picture, hashtag, what do they hashtag? Best hour of their day, whatever else.
Don't be a turd.
Don't be a turd, pokey kid.
Be the pokey kid.
Whatever. Don't eat white sauce, cancel white sauce. But if you post a picture of your class doing an LSIT, we'll figure out a cool prize to send you. Full class. Not like if your class is only one person, sure. But I'm saying like full class doing some sort of LSIT and LSIT variation.
Yeah, I mean, don't be shocked if you program LSITs and then you only have one person in the classroom. Like, shit, now I'm doing LSIT.
But that person, like we used to say, hey, what do you do for for your abs. We stabilize the midline like a motherfucker.
There is a very distinct difference between this is effective and this is a good idea. And if you're a coach or an affiliate owner, you should probably be able to distinguish between the two.
I think L-sits are one of those things where if you can get somebody in and doing them, they're going to be sore the next day if it's their first time. I think they'll come back and be like, hey, coach, can we do more of those? Like, I think they like them. They just have to understand the value of them.
I think you haven't been an affiliate in a long time, and that's absolutely not happening.
Well, here at Best Hour CrossFit, we program L-sits every day. It's 7 days a week, L-sits only. That's all we do here.
Well, that explains the membership.
I do think last week Cap programmed some, there was a workout with a lot of core work. And at my gym anyway, everybody was very happy that their abs were sore because your abs don't get sore all that often.
So
what do you think is the right, how often would you sprinkle in a movement like L-sits or, any movement for that matter? Like, but more of the movement, I think we have our like foundational movements, back squat, front squat, push press, push jerk, etc. How often would you throw some of those periphery? Is that a word? Did I just make that wrong?
No.
The second tier kind of movements like that. Periphery?
Periphery is a word.
Or secondary.
Secondary or 10 days I think is a good
every 10 days. I was going to say like once a month.
Oh no, I think you could sprinkle in every 10 days and people like kind of wouldn't notice if you had a solid rotation. If you're going to go through like some sort of static hold, if you're going to do like heavy kettlebell front rack holds, put that in 10 days later, put in
another great one.
Put in some like L-sit work or hollow rock work, very similar, and following 10 days after that. So again, different flavors, right? It shouldn't just be all, midline centric, but if I'm doing, they are both midline centric. However, that's not what people see and feel when they do it, right? Totally different. So again, it's kind of the Jedi mind trick to get people to do things that they need to do. Yeah, I think every 10 days is probably like a real, because that gives them time to kind of get over the soreness that they have, and then you can sprinkle in something else and then keep them engaged. This is why people nerd out on programming. I just don't think enough people nerd out on the client aspect of it and try to pair that with effectiveness in conjunction with, is this able to be coached effectively? Like, you have to look at the full spectrum of what's involved there in order to do it well. And people are just thinking about like either what people are like or what looks good on paper, rather than, is this even at all capable of being coached in a reasonable fashion in the 60-minute window? And if it's not, well, then change it.
And for the record, I think it was 2009, they actually programmed L-sits at the CrossFit Games.
I don't remember.
It was like they did like an event. I think it was the same year as the softball throw. I think it was softball throw, L-sit, some sort of like farmer's carry. And it was all kind of one event, but they were scored separately, but L-sit was one of them. So there's precedent, if you did decide to program it, the same people complaining are probably the same people that want to be competitive and just point them to the CrossFit Games. So there you have it. Cool. Just 2 questions, Fern?
Yep, that's it. We got to go.
All right. We got to bounce. If you're going to leave this episode with anything, remember it's don't be a turd.
Be the pokey kid. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. We appreciate you listening and choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. You can find more episodes just like this on all podcast platforms. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community. Thanks for listening.